Today, I'm going to do what every YouTuber programmer do. Programmer YouTuber do. Coder YouTuber do. Coder in YouTuber. Wait, coder in YouTube. Yeah, there you go. Coder in YouTube do is to recommend free programming languages for you to learn in 2020. It's kind of late, but I'm a late starter. Before we begin, I just want to say that these programming languages has not been ordered in any way. So just learn what you need to do. That's the most important thing. If you don't need to do something, then don't learn it. Okay, let's get started. Number 1, Python. So if you are interested in machine learning, you can't go wrong with Python. It has a lot of libraries. Libraries are commands that people who are really smart build up so that you can simplify a lot of process in programming. So you don't have to do everything yourself. So for example, you have to sort a list from the smallest to largest, but usually you have to use some sort of algorithm, and in a library they would provide the most efficient way, so you don't have to implement your own algorithm. You just have to focus on the solution to your app or program. So Python has a lot of libraries, and NumPy is one of the most popular libraries for mathematics calculation. And second library to mention, of course, is TensorFlow. I don't know whether it's the best because I didn't try all of the machine learning libraries, but TensorFlow is easy to get started with. Yeah, and it is developed by Google. It's free and open source. And the reason that it is free and open source is because most laptops, I really doubt that you can run your algorithm to a high level of complexity before you actually have to use something like Google Cloud. But it is quite easy to get started with simple models. Just don't train your model to like the highest possible complexity. Not too many iterations, and you can take advantage of something like the Jupyter Notebook. But for a beginner, I wouldn't do that because if you just Google like TensorFlow and something like Google Colab, they do have a lot of preset script that is automatically set to run on the Google Cloud. Although it's time limited, but it's excellent for beginners to see the result of machine learning. So it is just faster that way. Instead of you having to follow the tutorial and code line after line, and sometimes you just forget because it is something complex. However, given that they already have the best script, then you can just use that and you can build on that. It is up to you. So you can't really go wrong with Google Colab, since training for the machine learning model actually requires so much GPU that you literally cannot do anything else with your laptop until you're done with the training. So that is really not efficient. So if you use the Google Colab, then it will run on Google Cloud. Although your system will possibly heat up because Google Chrome is slow nowadays. It's just slow, so it will slow you down a little bit, but not to the level where you cannot use your laptop for anything else. Besides machine learning, Python has these two great web framework for building websites, and they are Flask and Django, and they are the perfect way to push your very simple, maybe very rudimentary machine learning model out to the web. And Flask is easier to use, and Django is a little bit more complex, but has a lot more customization that you can play with. They are both gaining popularity because again, you need something to display your machine learning model, right? So a website would be the case, and there are some tutorials online that do that. And I think it is because of the status of Python that these two web framework gets so much users. Also, Python is really good with web scraping. And what is web scraping is they have libraries for you to go to different websites and, let's say, get information from their website. Also, Python has a lot of die-hard fans who will help you learn faster and better. There's so much material out there to learn Python, so you can't go wrong with it. The topic of getting tutorials for programming will be in another video. Next is JavaScript. So, before React and Node.js, JavaScript was only a browser-side language, meaning it runs on your browser. There are a lot of people hate it. Now, it is a full-stack language that a lot of people still hate. However, a lot of people love because they can just use JavaScript both on just one language on the servers. So before there was the LAMP stack, meaning they run Linux, Apache, MySQL, and PHP. So think about it, all of this, there's like at least two languages you have to deal with, right? Because you have your front end that you have to know a little bit of JavaScript, and then your back end in PHP and MySQL. But now you primarily focus on just JavaScript. That sounds like something beneficial, but truthfully, I think that it doesn't really matter that much, because it's the library, it's the commands that you have to get familiar with. And both Node.js and React, they have their own commands. So learning all of that is going to be more pain than, let's say, acquiring a new language. So just keep that in mind. And also, besides these two, Node.js and React, right, there's also so many programming framework or libraries that help JavaScript grow as a programming language. And you can't go wrong with JavaScript. Also, to try out JavaScript, it is easier than trying out Python, because all of your browser, let's say your desktop, your laptop browser, Chrome, they run JavaScript. So you just have your HTML and then put some JavaScript inside, and then it will run. A lot of help comes from like a W3 School. They have great development tutorial for JavaScript, literally covering every function, but you have to get used to reading documentation, which is necessary. In conclusion, you can't get more cross-platform than JavaScript. Next is C#. If you are interested in game development in 2020, you need to learn Unity, and Unity requires you to code in C#. I don't care if Unity support other languages through different bridges, just learn C# and you'll be fine. Unity itself is free until you start making a significant sum of money, and you can visit the website. Maybe that will change, so I don't want to say the amount. Unity is really popular right now because it's so easy to get started with. Simple interface, the Unity asset store, a lot of free asset there, and the vast amount of Unity tutorial on YouTube makes Unity the perfect game engine for your games. So a game engine is basically a bunch of libraries put together into one single game engine. It really helps you thought out and plan out your entire game. Doesn't matter the sound, the visual, the time loop, and everything. C++ is my first programming language, and it is so much harder to learn in comparison with C#. When I first heard about C#, I have the misconception of thinking, oh, it must be similar to C++, so it must be tough. Actually, C# is only a little bit harder to learn than Python, but it's not that hard. Although C# is capable of building a .NET application that can run on Microsoft, I wouldn't recommend it because both JavaScript and Python have free web frameworks that run on all the platforms. there's no point to limit yourself to Microsoft servers. And I've known coders who have been coding C#, .NET application for like a huge company for supply chain, right? And when they are trying to change to another job, because they are most familiar with C#, they really need to pay the license to Microsoft to build the websites. Again, Python and JavaScript is free. Node.js free, Django's free. Anyway, that's pretty much it. Feel like quite a long video. So in the next video, I'm going to talk about learning progress in programming and how to keep track. From zero, not knowing anything, to becoming relatively proficient at programming. And by relatively proficient, I mean that you don't really have to Google that much in order to build something. Anyway, stay tuned. Bye bye.